There it is. There's the cat ate the canary look. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're gonna be playing with a bunch of new at Sephora. Not all of it is sublime. I'll just go ahead and say that, but we have new NARS foundation. I have some new eyeshadow, some Sephora collection stuff. I have something in my eye. I have the Caliray tubing mascara, some final thoughts for you guys on that. I bought way too many lip products and some other stuff. So, oh yeah, the Danessa Myricks Dewy cheek palette. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Sephora has just been kind of sprinkling the new releases out, and it hasn't been necessarily like, you know, rock star releases that are like these full collections and complete capsule ideas. And so I just figured this was kind of the way most of us were perceiving new releases right now, and I would just knock out as many of them as I possibly could for you guys so that you can get the information that you need. So I'm gonna move y'all in, and we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Hello, hi, hello, 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 hello. All right, so I made a couple of big orders from Sephora, and among them was the new Light Reflecting Foundation from NARS. Has a lot of shades, if I recall correctly. I liked the idea of it being light reflecting. Sounded kind of like skin tingy, natural finish, you know, just kind of right up my general alley. I did end up with the wrong shade initially though, based on the swatches online, so I went back in store and a lovely sales associate helped me shade match, and it looked dark at first, but the undertones were so good. And you guys, I think this might be my best shade match I've ever gotten, because it is so dead on that I was afraid it was too dark, because I always err on the side of light because I just don't want like a line at my chin, and I'm so used to that being the issue with most foundations. But they actually had a shade for me that isn't the lightest shade that they make, and it is very, very, very close to my actual skin tone. So I got the shade L2 Mont Blanc. So let's go ahead and start putting this on. I've already done moisturizer and SPF and stuff like that. So actually, I haven't tried putting this on like a skin tint, you know what I mean? Just with my hands, see how it does. If any of you guys was like, I was really hoping you were gonna say that you were reviewing the new Charlotte Tilbury, that's in my hair now. I bought it and I got the wrong shade. And I went back in store to get shade matched. Whoa, whoa, when it's in my face, it is really, it's got a smell. Huh. Anyway, I cannot get this sentence out. Oh my God. I went in and got shade matched, and they were out of all of them, and they're out of all of them online as well. So I just checked the actual Charlotte Tilbury website this morning, and they had my shade. So I bought it, it's on its way. I also picked up the airbrush finishing powder because I see it so much talked up by people who I trust. And so I just bundled that, and I saved, you know, 5% on Charlotte Tilbury's website when all her stuff is too expensive. Anyway, point is, that's on its way. Possibly a hair too dark, but the undertone is so excellent. I really feel like it's one of the closest actual matches that I've had in a foundation that really has a little bit of coverage. We will probably chat more in depth on this one before the video is out. I'm gonna give final thoughts on everything, but I'm not gonna deep dive on the claims. But a foundation, I'm gonna deep dive on the claims. Just for my own personal curiosity, and so that you guys kind of know what the expectation is. But so far, I dig it. And I have found that it's like very, very dewy when I apply it with a brush, or with like, yeah, with a brush specifically. And it kind of will stay really dewy, but I can get it really thin with my hands. And it has a lot to do, you know, much like anything else, with the amount of emollients in your skin prep. So I used my SkinCeuticals today, and it just really, really drinks into my skin. And I feel like I feel like fingers was the way to go. You know, I really feel like that was the best way to get a really, really even coat of it before it dries down, because it's kind of like the Fenty in that sense, the Fenty Ease Drop, because you try and apply that with a brush and it starts drying down too fast. Like, this isn't gonna dry down to a matte finish or anything, but it does have some dry down to it. It has a little technology to the formula, and you do want to get it spread out really evenly before it crosses over that threshold, because I'm using some AHAs and stuff like that that's causing my forehead to peel and like right here, and it'll catch on that if I'm not careful, and you know, dry spots. Bear that in mind. I think that that's something that people really care about when talking about a foundation. Is it going to cling to dry spots? it will, and that's why I think that fingers is the way to go because it's faster. Or just exfoliate, or both. Oh girl, my lips are so gnarly. I'm going to put a little bit of Fit Glow on here just to like make them function until I decide what I want to do. Okay, let's go in with some concealer and kind of get a little bit better of a blend in this general area. I'm gonna go Cosas, just because I feel like it's a better match for the finish and coverage level. Okay, Final Cut. Girl, pick a struggle. So I'm just taking a little bit of that. That is in the shade 1N. Very, very good kind of brightening shade for me. Good for just getting that nice blend. Being freckly, it can be very misleading. You kind of think that your foundation doesn't match, or you don't know whether your foundation is supposed to match the skin between your freckles or like the general color that the eye perceives. And that has a lot to do with whether or not you're getting full coverage. I tend to go lighter in shade on full coverage because, well, my freckles are not going to be there so much. So this one being medium as best I can tell. And also I did get it to build. I've worn it a few times and I can get it to build with like a brush or a sponge, which is nice. Wow, so pretty. I feel like the industry is just cranking out these really gorgeous luxury foundation formulas right now that are hybrid, you know what I mean? They're not like super, super thin skin tints, but also they have more performance. They dry down a little bit more. And it really just speaks to the prestige mindset. It's like, okay, this is NARS's take on this, you know, and therefore above anything else, it's going to perform. I do feel like we're getting a little tiny bit of oxidation, however. So very good shade match, very good undertone match when it was wet. As it's drying, I am getting some oxidation. So keep that in mind, guys. I think it's gonna be ideal like come summertime. I did pick up this powder that I believe is new-ish from Jouer. We haven't talked much about Jouer on my channel in a long time. It comes in this very precious little compact, and it did come in a little velveteen sleeve, quite luxurious, but not a super luxurious price, I don't feel like. But this is supposed to be kind of an iridescent or luminous, I guess, radiant finishing powder. What's it called, Khaki? That might help. Soft Focus Hydrate and Set Powder. Radiant Translucent is the shade. So do I want to use this like on my under eyes? Maybe not. You know, I have used it quite a bit and I love what it does on my cheeks and on my forehead and stuff, but when it comes to actual mattification, obviously, something that is meant to be radiant is not really going to give you exactly what you want in terms of the way that the light hits. I'm gonna go in with this after blush and whatnot. So I am going to be using this today, the Danessa Myricks. You see, I've already gotten in there. This is the Danessa Myricks Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. And I feel like this is a more consumer friendly, you know, regular makeup user friendly repackaging of her nudist palette, or her, what does she call it? I don't know. She's got that palette with the like, you know, 16 shades in it or something like that, 12 or 16 shades in it. And a lot of them can be kind of consolidated into, you know, different tone values. This is definitely not as extensive as that, but it did come in 2 shade stories. There's one that's like got blacks and browns and stuff like that in it, and then there's more like a more blushy one. But to my eye and to my touch, very, very similar in formula, if not exactly the same as the one in the nudist palette. And you guys know, the nudist palette was like one of my favorite things that I bought the year that I bought it, which I think was 2020. I do want to do a little bit of contour and bronze first before I do that. I know you're gonna be like, well, but I can't see the shades. I'll swatch them and everything. It's just a matter of the way that I would want my makeup to go on, because they are Dewy. I don't want to put much on top of them. So I'm gonna go in with, we've already seen this, but in case you didn't watch that video, this is the Rare Beauty, her new bronzer stick, and I have it in the shade here, Power Boost, and I love it. I love it so much. It's so light. She finally nailed down the formula in terms of lightness without being so slippy that it just slips right off the skin, which was the issue that I had with her melting blushes. And I'm gonna do a little on my neck too, because even though I'm gonna try really hard not to get it on my dress, I do want to see if it'll help my face match my neck a little bit. It's so funny. I really do feel like the skin on my neck and on my chest is just completely different skin than what's on my face. Has a lot to do with sun exposure and the skincare that I use and things like that, and just generally the way that you treat the rest of your body. What do you want from me? Why in the world would Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida need to talk to me at 11:44 a.m. on a Tuesday? I didn't go there. I've only been to Winter Park like once in my entire life. Anyway, I really, really like this. It's super, super pretty. It's very lightweight. It blends beautifully. It is super uncomplaining. It's got this really nice hybrid formula, but the pigment sticks around. I just like it so very much. Very easy to use. Look at that. Oh, it blends like a dream. We haven't powdered or anything yet, and I really dig the way that NARS foundation just keeps enough emollients on the skin to let stuff move around. But do you see how much that just warmed me up in a very, very natural way? Again, that's the shade Power Boost. I think I have foundation in my hair, and I don't think that there's anything that I can do about it. Like, it's just going to reflect on camera. Apologies. I'll wait on contour so that we can just go ahead and jump in with this blush. Let's go ahead and swatch all 4 of these. They do have that soft emollients to them. To me, they kind of remind me a little bit of Kosas in that sense, but they are pigmented enough that you don't have to put that much of them on. But that's what they look like. That's all 4 of them. It's kind of a fuchsia, a rose pink, a coral, and a peach. As much as I love Danessa Myricks, I do wish that she had improved on this formula a little bit, just because the industry changes, and when the industry changes, our tastes change. It might be a chicken or the egg thing. My point is, I don't know that this is my favorite type of formula anymore. It's a little bit too gummy. Do you see it? Like, I went to swatch it and it was just like, I'm gonna start with the rosy shade. I'm gonna try and, you know, pull a little bit of that color. So I'm starting with this guy. And when I say, guys, pigmented, it's pigmented. And that's great. You know, Danessa Myricks bears all skin tones in mind, and I feel like as long as you have the expectation set correctly in your mind, you're going to really get the most out of her products. They're very consistent. You know, there's just something about them where it's like, you know, a Danessa Myricks product when you're interacting with it. She makes them easy to use. She makes them great bang for your buck. She somehow manages to really, really bridge the gap between making a product that is very user-friendly for a regular makeup user, but also high-tech and looks beautiful when photographed for makeup artists, and also in like practical formats for makeup artists, you know, kind of the way that a makeup artist might think. But like, that's just the rose, and I mean, I dipped it so lightly. Like, that's the only thing that kind of keeps me coming back to it, is it's like, yeah, it's a little bit gummy, but I don't have to put very much on at all. What if we mix a couple of them? I want this, but I want a little bit of depth in it. So I'm gonna kind of mix those 2 together. One thing that I kind of neglected to mention, and I realized is that as I was editing my Salt New York video, was talking about depth of shades and how I was like, okay, well, I can add white to the complexion shade that matches me, which happened to be number 12, and I can get a more brightening, higher coverage version of this shade. And then I said, you know, it's not really so much about adding lightness, or it's not just about adding lightness, it's also about adding opacity for the sake of coverage. And that, you know, you can kind of do that with any shade. I realized I should have elaborated on that, and what we don't talk about all that much with deeper shades is the same mentality that you talk about a lot when you're talking about hair color. You don't just dye hair from blonde to black, because basically if you don't fill in the midtones, all you'll see are the kind of leftover remnants when the hair gets washed. So it'll kind of go green gray, because those are the only pigments that can really commit on the outer cuticle like that, and like the rest of it wasn't saturated, not saturated like, you know, the liquid, saturated with a color. And so when you're talking about richer shades, you have to saturate the middle. So if I were to mix a more opaque version of a deeper shade, I would not fill it in with white, I would fill it in with the red tones that exist underneath that. So if you ever dye somebody's hair from like pearl white to black or to back to a natural brown or something like that, you have to fill it in with like a really rich kind of like apricot-y orange or whatever to fill in what you took away from nature. And it's the same thing if you were trying to add opacity or add coverage to a translucent brown. You would need to add not white, but like reds and oranges or greens, like things that are going to be the underlying pigment for that skin tone. So it's just white because it was me. And I wanted to speak to that in more detail. What contour was I going to use? What contour? I think I'm gonna use the Wayne Goss one, so we can go ahead and powder. The Jouer powder, I'm going to use this, like I said, pretty much everywhere but under my eyes. You know, it's not a mattification powder, but it's quite pretty and it does a good job of setting something like this dewy blush without losing a whole bunch of the pigment and also without totally mattifying your vibe. It's a dewy blush. I want it to still appear somewhat dewy, and so the reflective quality of that powder does a great job. And I could even still then, with a very light hand, like top that with another blush. In the interest of controlling the way that the light hits, I'm going to go in with my Rare Beauty powder, which I am enjoying quite muchly, and set my under eyes. So one of the products that I'm talking about being less than sublime is this new eyeshadow that the Sephora collection put out. It's a liquid eyeshadow. And you know, guys, I don't know what it is. I'm trying so hard to really like broaden my understanding and my taste to include more like liquid eye products. They're just harder to work with in a lot of cases. I feel like you're very limited to shades that are very close to your skin tone, because as soon as you try and get into like really high contrast things, I mean, again, it makes me realize how much I took for granted the liquid Lurex formula from Lisa Eldridge, is because I was like, yeah, this is great. It's great. It just works like it says it's gonna do, and fantastic. And then I try all these other ones and I'm like, oh no. The work really went into that one because it can belly flop in so many ways. So that was kind of the case with what I just tried from Sephora. It is an enormous container. It looks like a giant like drugstore lip gloss container of this liquid eyeshadow, charged up long wear liquid eyeshadow in Connect. Just like when we talk about spending money on something you didn't want, having long wear on something you don't want, who cares? You know what I mean? So the thing that appealed to me about this is, oh my gosh, is that such a pretty color? So pretty. It's this brown with gold flecks in it, and it is just, oh, it's delicious. It's delicious. It's a very, very, very pretty color that I saw really working well on me. Here's the issue. You blend this bad boy out, especially on my skin. I don't know what it is. It cancels out something in here. I guess my eyeballs are kind of purple. I'm not really sure. But I mean, it goes like Halloween gray black on me, and it's super skippy and hard to control, and like doesn't really want to properly feather at the edges before it dries down. And when it's down because it's long wearing, and I found it so hard to use. I've tried it 3 or 4 different times in different ways, as a topper, as a sheer wash, as a one and done, as like eyeliner and stuff like that. Y'all, just don't do it. You know, it doesn't matter how inexpensive it is or how much you get for your money or how long wearing it is, if it's ugly. Now, I will say, again, talking about liquid eyeshadow formulas, things are always going to be easier when they're closer to your skin tone. So like if your skin has those tones built into it, because you have a deeper skin tone where like all you're really going to see is like that beautiful top value of brown with like the gold flecks, maybe, you know, and maybe you can get the formula to work, but I'm gonna stick some footage in of me having done, y'all, my best attempt. This was the best it turned out, and when I say Halloween, okay, Halloween, that was what I looked like. I looked like I needed to go apologize to Bailey Sarian for trying to borrow her style and belly flopping so hard. It was just really ugly, and I have it not in my heart today to ruin an otherwise really beautiful face of makeup. So I just wanted to show you guys the application, but not in this actual face of makeup, because it was just honestly like incredibly frustrating and straight up ugly on me. But she waterproof. She's definitely waterproof. All right, so what shall we do on my eyes? I pulled a few things here. I have the Gucci palette. I have the new Aether palette. I feel like you guys wanted to see more from this. What think we? Yeah, I think a lot of you guys really just wanted to see me use the coral, and that is what we shall do. Something that I have really enjoyed doing with this palette is wetting my brush with that coral. It is so satisfying, so let's do that. She's called Desert Coral. La la la. La 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 la. Not sure I really got my brush wet enough. Mattes, it is so rare that you actually have, I'm gonna use Fix Plus instead of just water. It's so rare that you have a matte that works like incredibly well wet. Okay, Fix Plus, that's the ticket. There we go, see? I don't know what it is about Fix Plus. Maybe it's got a little bit more like, well, it's got glycerin in it, I know that. That works great. I have seen some of the most beautiful looks using this palette. I told them, I asked people politely and with love to tag me if you got the palette and used it to do anything. And my friend Aaron Dye has been doing some gorgeous stuff. He's got this very beautiful brown skin. It's like, honestly, it's like sparkly gold undertones as far as I can tell. And oh man, I mean, he gets out in the sun and his eyes just sparkle with this stuff on. And then completely other end of the spectrum is Holly Beth Makeup, which if you guys don't follow her, she's just an inspiringly creative person, and she's got naturally red hair and freckles and these very, very light, you know, crystal blue eyes. I was shocked, you know, she's just like, look, I don't really think that much about whether or not like a color is gonna make me look sick on my eyes or something like that, because I said something about like pink undertoned redheads. And yeah, she's right, because it's not necessarily about this being a, you know, an illusion building eyeshadow palette. It is more about the artistry of it. And so it's like, that's gonna show up, it's like Technicolor coral. On whoever's skin you put it on, it's not about it being like, oh, is that my, am I a summer or a fall? Like it's, you know, it's just, do you want to? Do you want to wear this color? Very easy to control on a wet brush, and I would definitely say setting spray over just straight up water. Maybe we'll make a desert sunset on my eyes. All right, moving back into powder. I'm just gonna grab the warm brown in this palette, this one right here, and I'm gonna, is that what I wanna do? Yeah, because I feel like I've done kind of that just like pink with pink glitter thing recently using the Utopian Dream palette, so I want this to be a little bit different, a little bit more composed. Just blend, girl, blend, just keep I like it so much. I'm gonna use the kind of mauve shift pink here. Swishy swish. And it will, not that I mind that line, I don't think it looks bad, but I'm just gonna use that over top, and it's gonna make everything marry together a little bit more. And it's not so like foily that it's gonna end up making my eye look like crepey. So I'm gonna take a little bit more of that, use it on my outer corner here, kind of layer that on top, and just soften, you know? I love some blur. And I'm going into my crease where my eye likes to shed product and just really like making sure that there's brown right there, because, and then I'm blending it with like a slightly bigger brush, but I just have to be very adamant, tell my eye who's boss, because it will just like stay bald right there. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the pinky pink pink that I like so much and work that onto the front of my lid here and kind of towards the inner corner, leaving a little bit of that coral right there. Yes, I like that. And then I'm gonna take like a little flat brush of some Persuasion here. a little teeny tiny one, and also use that same shade. Yeah. And I don't even know what's on this brush right now. It's like kind of just brown, I think, but it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of just blurring that. And there's actually a really fantastic deep brown shade in here that works great as an eyeliner, and we will just dip my brush in there. Oh no, Fluffy! I was being so precise. When it all goes right, except for that one thing. And this is where I'm gonna go in with a little more of that pearl shade, but I'm gonna do it on a wet brush. Wow. Ooh. Yeah, her shadows work really well wet. All right, bear with me while I do my brows. I don't have any brow products to share with you guys today. Y'all, when I spend this much time searching for something that I use all the time, that is when I know. There it is. That's how I know it's time for what? A declutter. Something that I was surprised to stumble upon while I was looking for my brow mousse was I bought this at Sephora, and I meant to use it. Granted, I don't think that it is for an entire eye look, so I'm kind of glad that I've already done something. But at the risk of completely blowing this look, I have here the Danessa Myricks Twin Flames. Oh my, oh my, oh my. What? Like, how? And also, whim and whuck, you know? Spreads out to this kind of wild, like green thing. And I think that I'm just gonna kind of dab that where I was unsure of what to do, you know? Right on top schmear, and see if I can just I'm gonna do it with my finger. This stuff kind of runs away from you because there's just a lot. You know what I mean? Like you get a lot. It looks like a teeny tiny little tube, but it's like you almost wanna let it dry a little bit before you use it because it takes over. But it's just absolutely enchanting. And very typical of Miss Danessa, it's super easy to use. Oh my gosh. I love the way that color kind of wants to interact with what else is underneath it because it's not green now. It's like this green gold. Oh, somebody said that I get this cat that ate the canary look on my face when things are going right. It's usually my blush. In this case, it was that eyeshadow. Oh my gosh. Speaking of blush, I do need some more, but I want to use a little bit of contour first. So I have my Wayne Goss here, and I'm going to grab this brush here, my BK 104. And I like to be pretty careful with this because it is gray. And I might throw on a little bit of his bronzer too, but it's very, very good for fair skin in winter time. Go in with this nice golden bronzer. I'm obsessed with that eye look. Holy crap. Like I wish I knew how to really photograph eye looks well. I would like put it on Instagram. But I want a little bit of something and I want it to be quite Dior. Let's Dior it. Just wake my face up a little. Yes. Perfect. There it is. There's the cat ate the canary look. This stuff makes such a difference. I never thought that I would give a crap about a clear brow gel, but here we are. This is the Kamiko Brow Sensei. I adore it. And it's Caliray time. I just got the mini. I was very, very interested in getting their foundation skin tint thing, but they do not have a shade light enough for me, which is totally fine, but you can understand why I won't be trying it. As far as tubing mascaras go, as your resident tubing mascara snob, this is much more lengthening right when you get it, you know, than a lot of the other ones that I've tried, and it does come on a regular nylon brush instead of like one of those spiky plastic ones, which could be great news for some people. It does function very well as an actual tubing mascara, which I super appreciate. So it does, like, you know, put enough volume on your lashes that it is going to rinse off in very satisfying tubes. I have had no problem removing it or anything like that. And when I remove my mascara, I just kind of let it happen when I'm either washing my face or in the shower, and I just kind of wait for it to loosen up. I can feel it when it's loosening up, or you notice it kind of hanging off the ends of your lashes. I don't ever try and force the issue. So that's kind of my philosophy on tubing mascaras. I found that it layers really beautifully. It is pretty good at like separating my lashes, but it is still on the heavy side. Not as heavy as Thrive, not as heavy as Hourglass, not as heavy as Victoria Beckham, which are all kind of my favorites, but you know, I don't have any real trouble holding a curl. I think that the key to getting a curl to hold in your lashes is fast drying and lightweight, right? Because it has to dry before it has a chance to weigh your lashes down, and you would hope it wouldn't be weighing them down in the first place. But it is kind of halfway in between like the Hourglass one and Glossier Lash Slick. You can still get a good amount of volume out of it, and I feel like it's, you know, it's much more satisfying in terms of the functionality of the formula and also the appearance on the lashes than like the M Cosmetics or something like that. But if you are still trying to hold a curl, I would definitely still stick with like Lash Slick or the M Cosmetics one, because it's just, I can't promise that it's not gonna weigh your lashes down. But I don't wanna open my eyes too much because I'll get mascara on my eyeball. It is blacker than black, which is great news for some people. I do feel like it's slightly alarming on my face how black it is. I tend to wear brown mascara. I genuinely really like it, and I like the way that it's kind of popping on this eye look. So yeah, good job, Caliray. Let's talk lips. I grabbed a few things here. One of them I haven't even opened yet because, well, my kid got a hold of it, okay? And it's a lip plumper from Sephora, from the Sephora collection. And I already have a plumper on and I can really feel it. So, woo, 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 she minty. Whoa, it's gonna be a different kind of plumping than the one that I used. Oh my gosh, that's so minty. I also got this Laura Mercier one in Macaron. This is just like a regular lip gloss, I wanna say. They said it was like a liquid lip balm. It is very, very pretty. I don't totally love that you can feel the glitter in it. Sometimes I just am like, am I too much of a snob about certain things, you know? Because I really, really like the shift on this. But like for the price, I would much rather go with a Pat McGrath Lust Gloss that has, you know, a similar kind of shift to it. Like Pale Fire Nectar or something. Like Pale Fire Nectar is more like what I have on my eyeballs right now, but she has a lot of them that have a lot of shift to them like this. And like, I like it. It's pretty, but I just don't like the grittiness of the glitter. That bothers me. Like, I'm gonna continue wearing it, it smells nice, but it's not my favorite and I don't wanna necessarily like recommend that you run out and buy it. I also got the Makeup by Mario. This is so similar. This is his new Moistureglow Plumping Lip Serum. It's so similar to the M Cosmetics. What are those freaking things called? I can never remember. Lip cushions. That's what they're called, lip cushions. Same kind of click up applicator, different shades obviously, and the other difference is that it's minty. So it is meant to be plumping, but it has like that exact same level of pigment to it and everything. So I'll put that on for you. That same kind of like, it almost doesn't want to be in this delivery system kind of thing because it is so close to being a lip gloss. And I picked the mauve one. Wow, she tingly. I love a menthol plump, and it's a little bit halfway in between. It's kind of, it smells minty, but it also has a little bit of the hot pepper feel to it, and I'm into it. And then finally, we have this one. This one, the smell is kind of totally freaking me out. I'm gonna do the Sephora one. I'll probably end up having the Makeup by Mario on the... I didn't realize how many lip plumpers I bought. Woo. I like how it looks. Wow. I think it's also because I'm wiping things off of my lips. I'll keep that one on for a minute. It's very comfortable. It's slippy in a nice way. Comes in a big container. Looks like a little, you know, like a cushion. Yeehaw. Woo. Huh. It is spicy though. Not like, you know, milk makeup Szechuan peppercorn spicy, but like noticeably spicy. I'm straight up obsessed with how this eye look turned out, like ridiculously pleased. The Twin Flames, oh, what? So good. And that's gonna stick around too. Okay, my lips are on fire. My lips are on fire, my lips are on fire, my lips are on fire. Oh my gosh, they're on fire. Am I okay? Am I okay? Oh my gosh, y'all. They're turning red. Okay. The Sephora one is not for the faint of heart. Look at the color of my lips. Oh my god. Oh my god, they went red so fast. Ouch. Oh, it's so stingy. Owie, ow, ow. Owie, ow, ow, ow. Stop. Oh my god. Y'all, I'm not being dramatic. It hurts. You can see where it hurts. The Makeup by Mario is still spicy, but like nowhere near that Sephora. Holy mackerel. I had to get it off because you see it's already turning the like outside of my lips red. That makes me crazy. I hate that because it can like make you look deranged after you've spent all that time on your makeup. I think it has a little sneaky balm on it, which is great. Clean that up so that we don't look crazy. Let them discover the crazy, you know? Oh, I love when a look comes together and surprises even me with what I'm capable of. Do I feel like my lips are scarring over? A little bit, yeah. I'm gonna move the camera back. Like this look and the way that it turned out is nothing short of thrilling in my book. I think that it is just absolutely perfect. It turned out so, so pretty. I feel beautiful. I feel like uncommon, you know? I feel like I've discovered something. So let's just do a quick run through of final thoughts on these. Oh, that's right. I was just gonna discuss the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation and give you guys a chance to look at this look a little bit longer. Ow, my lips. All right, I'm gonna shut up about that. NARS Light Reflecting Advanced Skincare Foundation. Wowzers. If I'm counting correctly, it looks like 36 shades in this NARS Light Reflecting Advanced Skincare Foundation. Again, I got the shade Mont Blanc L2, and there are 2 shades fairer than that. I still think it was a good match for me, and I do feel like I made it work, even though I would keep in mind, as you're looking at these shades, it is gonna oxidize like a quarter of a step, you know? It just gave me like the slightest little line, and if you are used to using a concealer that is brightening, you're probably gonna be fine. So as far as claims are concerned, an advanced makeup skincare hybrid foundation with natural finish that quickly blurs and smooths while visibly improving skin's clarity over time. If you were a fan of the idea of the Fenty Eavesdrop, but it was maybe a little too heavy for you or a little too matte for you, this is a thinner, lighter weight version of that. I feel like that's not quite so matte. It's not quite as much, it's just kind of backs off on every single thing. It's not quite as much coverage, it's not quite as matte, it's not quite as like committed. I think that it's absolutely beautiful. Honestly, it's super, super lightweight. It does remind me a little bit of the new Chanel. Like I really feel like if you have that one, you don't need this one. They're really similar enough. It's got like a slightly more natural finish, and that one's got a slightly dewier finish if I had to draw a line in the sand between the two of them. And it will probably come down to whether or not you find your shade. And I know I said that it smelled weird, but it wasn't a fragrance. It's like vegetal. When I was putting it on my skin, I was like, broccoli? Peas? I don't know, there was something very vegetal. Do you see my top lip swelling? Hello, it works. I also used like 5 lip plumpers today. Dispense a pearl-sized amount, then warm with fingertips. Okay, blend outward with fingertips. They do recommend using fingertips because I do feel like it has enough technology in it. It does have enough dry down to it that you want to work with it pretty quickly. I like that there's no fragrance. It's also $20 cheaper than the new Chanel. And if you've been eyeing that new Chanel one, but you were kind of like hung up on the price and or the fragrance and or buying from Chanel for one reason or another, I don't know your life. The NARS one is like pretty stinking similar. It is right in between the Fenty Eavesdrop and the Chanel #1 Red Camellia Revitalizing Foundation, which I like very much. Like, yeah, I'm really digging this trend of brands, luxury brands, putting out these really beautiful lighter coverage hybrid luminous formulas. This is very pretty. And also it's quite hydrating. My lips are kind of freaking me out right now, I'm gonna be honest. Like, they started nowhere near the color of my eyes and my cheeks, and now they're very much the color of my eyes and my cheeks. So I think this is a smash hit. I think that this really is like right in between a lot of things that I really like. The price is not obviously super inexpensive, but I feel like it does so much of the work for you, and it doesn't have a lot of the things that I get hung up on in other formulas, that I would recommend this above the Chanel, where I had all those hang-ups about the Chanel. Like, I would recommend this above that. We tried the Jouer powder. I really like this, and it is, you know, they say it's like hydrating. I kind of dig that. It's nice to have something in my collection that feels like I can powder on top of like a blush or something, not lose the luster of the blush, but you do want to be careful because this does have kind of like a, you know, an eyeshadowy vibe to it. It might be similar to the ambient lighting powders and stuff like that from Hourglass. I don't know, because I never owned one of the specific powders. I just owned the blushes and the bronzers. So this is a limited edition soft, it's only one shade, fam. That's kind of stoops. That's kind of up there in Stupidville. Come on, Jouer, do better. Yeah, I can't really recommend that because it's only one shade. Sorry. The Danessa Myricks Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. Wow. Yeah, I just think that this is a digestible format delivery system repackaging of her previous palette that I liked so much, but be aware. Be aware, that's Dewy. She puts it right there on the front of the package. It's Dewy. I had my reservations about this because when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it doesn't look the way that it looks online. It looked like it was gonna be just like full on like holographic rainbow, and the way that it actually comes out of the tube, the clear one, the shade Crazy For You, is like green, and I was like, oh. And when I tried to use this all over my whole eye, I looked like I was from space. And that's a cool look for some people, but it wasn't really my vibe, and I had a hard time controlling it. What it really shines as, in, you know, use case wise, is this, you know, just kind of putting it on the back of your hand and dabbing it and using it as like a really great like liquid eyeshadow. I have a lot more control that way, and I freaking am head over heels in love with the way that this complemented the Aether palette. Oh my gosh, this eye look. Are you kidding me? You guys watched magic happen in real time today. The Laura Mercier, don't spend the money on this if you're annoyed by glitter, you know, like feeling the glitter particles. And it's not, I'm pretty sure they called this, it's a lip glacé, but they said it was kind of a liquid lip balm formula, and it's not. I would definitely recommend going for a Pat McGrath Luxe Gloss over this for the price and all that. The Makeup by Mario Moistureglow Plumping Lip Serum. Gorgy porgy. Puddin' pie. Kiss the girls and made them cry. Love it. Love it. Love the amount of pigment. Love that it behaves exactly like the M Cosmetics. You know what I mean? It's a two cakes philosophy. People are like, oh no, that cake's better than mine. And all the spectators are like, I like cake. Those two cakes and I like cake. I'm happy to have this in a whole menagerie of new shades, and it is also plumping, which I find really nice, and it's a pleasant plump. It's kind of minty, it's kind of spicy, but it's not too much of either one. I genuinely really enjoy this. And the packaging, oh, so sensuous. And I enjoy that the packaging is the color of the product inside. I know that not everybody can afford to do that, but I'm glad that he did. And the holy Lord, what in the world? This is called Outrageous Intense. Yeah, I mean, they warned me. If that's the name of it and not the shade name, Sephora Collection Outrageous Hydrating and Plumping Intense Lip Gloss. Who's the dummy now? Okay, I bought that after reading the name. I don't know what I thought I was getting myself into, but they warned me up front. Fever and Inferno. They warned me. You're gonna look like you have a fever. You're gonna feel like you're in an inferno. I would say that does everything that it says it's going to do. And if you're one of those people who likes a really intense plumping action, it does do that, but it also gives me that like red around my lips sort of alarming feeling. But it's only $12 if you were used to paying for like the high intensity lip injection and stuff like that, all those ones that make your feel like, try that one again, they make your lips, nothing to do with your legs, they make your lips feel like they're like not part of your body for a minute. This is a much more affordable option. This, in the wide world of liquid eyeshadows, I would just skip it. You know, I had a lot of caveats. It's like, okay, I understand I bought something that is a darker color and maybe on darker skin it would be easier to use X, Y. There are great liquid eyeshadow formulas out there. And there are great eyeshadow formulas out there that look just as good as a liquid eyeshadow formula. Don't trouble yourself with something like this. It's just silly, you know, it's just silly. It's a very difficult to work with product, and it's making me realize, trying all of these real dud liquid eyeshadow formulas, that this is actually a much harder thing to effectively formulate than I ever really imagined. And you know, who owns an eyeshadow palette doesn't own something that is like brown with gold sparkles in it, like a powder eyeshadow of some persuasion. Dip a wet brush in it. Ta-da! And finally, I think finally, Caliray! Yeah, I mean, everything that I said holds true. It definitely functions very well as a tubing mascara. We have, I mean, it's worth mentioning because I've definitely reviewed ones that claim to be tubing mascaras before and they just like weren't. Also, if you're looking for a really black mascara, wow, that's a black mascara. There are black mascaras and then there are black mascaras, that's a black mascara. It also, I'm sure it's gonna mature in the tube over time. I've had it for a few weeks, but as it matures, it probably will kind of thicken up and you'll be able to get a little more hunky chunkiness out of it, you know? But it's still a little lighter weight than my favorite ones. Again, kind of halfway in between the Hourglass, which is more lengthening, and like the M Cosmetics, which is quite light on the lashes and almost to the point that it doesn't really tube effectively, the M Cosmetics one. This one is just over the line of tubing effectively, and it does layer better without getting crazy quite as quickly as like the Thrive does. Is that everything, guys? I think that's everything. If I haven't said it enough, I'm like truly thrilled with this face of makeup. I am absolutely in love with it. I don't feel like I need to obsessively like bronze myself or anything like that to try and bring the life to my face, because I feel like it's an actually well executed like artistry look on my eyes, and the rest of the face is just kind of supporting actors. Yeah, I'm gonna go take some pictures of this for Instagram to just tease everybody, get your little juices flowing. But anyway, I hope you guys found this valuable, and I'll probably be doing more videos like this, you know, soon as we go, just because again, like there aren't really new brands doing a lot of new capsule collections. It's kind of just, you know, piecemeal, and I kind of appreciate that. I kind of appreciate that we're not just like getting this deluge of new brands and new makeup right now. It's kind of a little bit more calculated releases, so I'm gonna chase that feeling. If you guys enjoyed this / found it valuable, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Look at my eyes, look at them.